Hello, in this video we're going to look at part 7 of the Reading and Use of English paper for the Cambridge Advanced exam, and this is the gapped text or gap fill task. The idea here is that you have a text on a particular topic and there are 6 gaps, whole paragraphs or long sentences that have been removed, and you have to put them in the right place. Now it looks like a very difficult task, and you might think to yourself that you only stand a chance if you know the topic very well, but that's not true. What Cambridge is really testing here is your understanding of how texts fit together, and to understand that you have to look at little words rather than big words. So it's true that sometimes the answer will be given to you through the use of narrative development. The story continues before, during and after the gap. Or a logical continuation. We see the result of an event from the gap. But really, most of the answers will come in the use of little words like this, that, these and those, which, so, it, they. Words that refer to other parts of the text. And thanks to the fact that there are 2 points available for each of these questions, we need to be looking for 2 connections. Of course, you don't need to find both connections to give you the answer, but it does help if you want to check. If you want to make sure that you have the right piece of text to go in the gap, look for those 2 connections, usually one pointing back before the gap and one pointing past the gap. So, to see what all of this means, have a look at the PDF that you'll find linked to in the description to this video. We're on page 25, and this is about Macquarie Island. So have a look. Remember, look for the little words either side of the gap, and when you're ready, come back and we'll look at the answers together. So, if we look at number 41, the answer we want is F. Before the gap it says, I've little hope of seeing the beasts. He's talking about some different creatures. In the gap F it says, at night they are indistinguishable from the rocks. What are they? Well, it's the beasts he's just mentioned. At the end of the gap he says, I ask myself, is this what I sailed to the bottom of the world for? What is this? Well, later it says, I have to admit that it probably is. So there is a connection between those 2 ideas. In 42, at the before the gap it says, to rid the entire island of every rabbit, rat and mouse. We want to know what that's connected to. If we look at D, we see it's one of the most ambitious programs of its type ever attempted. What is it? Well, it's this ridding the island of all these creatures. After the gap, pointing forward, we see I awake to a view that justifies the 3-day voyage to this remote outpost of Australia. And what is that? Well, he's changed his mind from, in the text, what Macquarie called the most wretched place. So he changes his mind, we have that logical continuation. In 43, we want the answer C. Before the gap it says, the previous afternoon's discomforts were entirely our own fault. And what does he mean by that? Well, in the gap it says, the walk, just under 10 kilometres, wasn't meant to be in darkness. So this is again a narrative continuation, but also a logical continuation. We see what he means by a particular idea. But if you didn't get that, then after the gap it says, the delay, while we doubled back. Well, which delay is he talking about? Why is there a delay? Well, in the gap it says, sometime after setting out, my photographer realised he had left a piece of camera equipment behind, and this causes the delay. So actually here it's the word the definite article, that gives us a clue, because without it we wouldn't know which delay he was speaking of. In number 44, we want B in the gap. Why? Because beforehand he says every move must be planned and precautions taken because of the dangers posed by climate and terrain, and it's a realization in the gap. What is the it? He's talking about every move. After the gap we have this geographical isolation, because he feels like he's the last human on Earth. It's this extreme isolation. So again, it's this. This is the word that links back in the text. Number 45, the answer we want is A. Before the gap, he mentions the main threat to the island's fauna. What is this threat? This is mainly in the form of rabbits. Okay, so that's the linking word again, is this. Again and again, little words give us the answers. And he's talking then about the recent estimates of the rabbit population, and then a logical continuation of that is unaccustomed to the herbivores' teeth. Well, what are the herbivores? They are these rabbits. So we have a logical connection there to help you through as well. And then finally, for number 46, the answer we want is G. Why? Well, Macquarie achieved the listing, it says, in the gap, and that links to this World Heritage status. And then after the gap it says, however, the status was also conferred because of something. If it's also conferred, it means this is the second reason. The first reason is that it was a geological freak, and that's given to us in the missing paragraph. So when you approach this task, remember those key ideas. You're looking for the links forwards and backwards, and it always comes down really to the little words that hold sentences and paragraphs together, the glue of English language. And if you can look for those sort of things, it won't matter what the topic is on the day. A lot of people blame their misfortune on having a difficult topic, but there are no difficult topics, just as there are no easy topics. These are standardized exams, and if you look for the little words, you'll find your answers easily enough. So in the next video, we'll look at the final part, part 8 of the Reading and Use of English paper for the Cambridge Advanced exam. Thank you.